the custom of May crowning. So this is really something that I knew nothing about. In my conversations with Debbie before the show, she was asking me, what connections? Because I was saying, I really love Mary, and I find Mary such an inspiration. And she goes, well, what was it? Was it something during your conversion? Because I did convert to the Catholic faith in 1992. And while Mary did play a part of that, there wasn't, that moment that I could identify immediately. But May crowning is something that I had no concept of before becoming Catholic. And then over time, I began to recognize and see May crownings and hear about them. And it's just a special opportunity to pause and reflect on Mary and the role that she plays in our church. And just like the seasons of the church give us opportunities to focus on different aspects of Catholic life or Jesus's life more specifically. But the month of May is a very, very special time. And one reason is because of May crowning. I'm going to begin with a short video from a Catholic school that shows a May crowning. So let's start with that.
As we listen to this story of Mary's yes, we might ponder our saying yes to God's love and the surprise of our daily living.
Mary thought of others before herself. Let us think of people in need, people we can help. It may be a family member, a friend, a neighbor, a classmate. What would Mary do for that person?
Now, that was a Catholic elementary school in Oregon. And I love how they really focused on Mary as intercessor, and as the example of someone who helps others, and we can be more like Mary. I think that's a very, very practical way of bringing Mary to children's attention. And it's a good reminder for us as adults, we always need inspiration and hope, like we just heard from Deacon Matt, and Mary serves as that perfect example for us. So that was a May crowning that took place during their school ceremony, where they learned about Mary and they venerated Mary, honored her with a crown of roses, which were very carefully constructed into that crown. So, so beautiful. We'll take a look at another May crowning in just a couple of minutes, but let's go back to our slides. Let's learn a little more about Mary and May crowning. So May crowning is a long-standing Catholic tradition. The May crowning of Mary honors the Virgin Mary. And so, again, we're learning different titles and recognizing different roles that she plays. And these are two images that I found very easily by Googling them. And by the way, that video was on YouTube. If you want to just Google May crowning, you can probably find that. So this is a long-standing Catholic tradition. I believe this has been going on for hundreds of years. And a May crowning is typically held where Mary is presented with a floral crown and other handmade items. So it may be bouquets, it may be, often adored with rosaries, sometimes handmade rosaries, anything that really connects to the spirituality of Mary and how people tend to interact with Mary in a Catholic sense. So this is an image of a young girl. Children and often girls who have just celebrated their first communion will be the one to crown Mary. And you can see she can barely reach up to the top of the statue, having to use Jesus as a prop there, which is okay. We tend to prop on Jesus sometimes too, so I guess that's okay. And then to symbolize her significance in the church and in our lives, the May crowning is set up to display her queenship as the mother of Jesus. So again, another aspect of who Mary is. She's a queen, and recognizing that she's the mother of Jesus as well as the mother of the church. So this is a display of the statue of Mary, which has been crowned. And we've got candles and fresh flowers. Mary typically always has fresh flowers that symbolize her beauty and the fragrance of love that she puts off. And the tribute remains up throughout the entire month of May. So once there is a May crowning, typically that will stay in place throughout the month of May, so we can come back and reflect. So this is that time period that we have to just take a moment and reflect on the role that Mary plays in our lives, and maybe grow a little closer or learn something new about Mary. This is to memorialize the importance of our Mother Mary in the church and in our personal lives. So she kind of holds that dual role, the mother of the church, and, kind of a mother in a mother role to us as well. So this is something that we can go again to reflect on and really take an opportunity to kind of empty ourselves of all of the busyness, all of our problems, turn to Mary as that example. And then finally, we're going to take a look at a May crowning from my home parish, St. Anne's in Marietta, Georgia. We had a May crowning before each of the Masses last weekend. And so this is just a short snippet from that. So again, you see a young girl with a crown of roses. And such a beautiful moment, it brought people to tears. I was in tears, and it just took 1 minute. It's amazing, such a powerful moment. And I'm not sure if you happen to see the look on the faces, especially of those teenage girls that were watching her carry that crown up the center aisle and then place that on Mary. They were just enthralled and proud and moved. It's just such a beautiful moment. So we didn't have any additional words. It was the girl, the song, and the movement that made for that powerful moment. So Deacon Matt, there's a lot to May crowning, a lot more than we could address here on Catechist Stream tonight. We're definitely interested to hear from you, the viewers. So we're going to give you a quiz in just a second. If you have any questions about Mary or May crowning, go ahead and put those in the chat box, because we'll be turning to that in just a second. Deacon Matt, anything that you'd like to add to the May crowning?
No, first of all, that video was of your church in Marietta. That was beautiful. The music was amazing. Fantastic cantor musicians. And yeah, I can imagine what a special moment for that young girl to be able to put that crown on Mary. And I think it's interesting too, outside of May crowning, the devotion or the action that we'll see people bring roses to a Mary statue in a church. It used to happen sometimes as part of the wedding ceremony, but at my kids' school, St. Luke the Evangelist in Ankeny, I'm finally out of school. Anyway, I've been going for most of my life. Yay! Gosh, you're getting so good with those sound buttons. He was able to bring up a rose. I forget what the reason was, though. It had to do with the month of May, but there were boys and girls bringing up roses to just lay at the feet of the statue of Mary. And I thought that was a beautiful thing.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And I'm glad that you brought in the viewpoint of the girl who's carrying that. What a special moment.
Oh, my goodness.
A wonderful opportunity to connect with your faith and to be the one. You get nervous being in front of people and you're carrying this up. You don't want to trip and all of the things that probably went through her mind, but overwhelmed by the beauty of the moment, I'm sure. And I'm not sure if you noticed in our statue of Mary looked a little different than the other statues that we saw in the photos. And if you happen to notice, some of them were different from each other. So they're all portraying a different identity of Mary. And our parish is a La Salette parish. So that's Our Lady of La Salette. So she looks a little different than Our Lady of Fatima or any of the other statues of Mary that you may see, or images.
Hmm.
So that was why that looked a little different. So it's just a really rich, Mary is so rich in herself, but the sightings, the different aspects of Mary, and I'm just at a loss of words, Deacon Matt.
Yeah, it's interesting that in the history of the church, recognition of Mary's role as intercessor, as mother of the church, as mother of God, is depicted in different artistic mediums going all the way back to the 2nd century. And we actually find one of the oldest is in Rome, and it has a picture of Mary standing in between Saints Peter and Saints Paul. And it was this depiction of her as mother of the church. That one's second or third century, 2nd century, I think.
Mm.
But she shows up in the church's liturgies as early as the 5th century. And so she's already incorporated into the church's worship of God and not worship of Mary. She gets that special word, hyperdulia, that veneration, that wonderful Scrabble word. But almost since the beginning, the church has recognized how special she is.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And veneration versus worship. I know that there's some misunderstanding about Catholics and Mary, and we're certainly not worshiping Mary, but veneration and hyperdulia, look that up. I
Look
think
it
maybe
up.
that would help to explain that.
I mean, I'm amazed too that like Mary's or veneration of her transcends even Christianity. And we see, like, for example, in Islam, Mary holds an important place too, alongside Jesus. Even though they don't believe Jesus is God, they believe Jesus is a prophet. And Mary is honored because she is the prophet's mother.